What's up, YouTube? Mincheeto here, and welcome back to another Minnycast. For those who are new, this is the weekly podcast vlog type show where I share with you some updates and stuff and talk about something that's kind of been on my mind or something along those lines for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes? Something along those lines? Yeah. I'm a little bit scattered right now, and to be honest, I'm a little bit annoyed just because trying to set up this recording has been kind of dumb because Audacity does not want to cooperate with me. So that's a thing. But I'm not here to complain about that. I do have updates to dive into, however. Finally got live streaming sorted out. You guys have likely seen all the testing and stuff that I've been doing with that, and you'll see that I have two very similar series on my channel. Because Unknown Empire has finally entered Season 2.5. Season 2 proper is now over, and now there's Season 2.5, and in my case, I've divided that in half, kind of-ish. I have two Season 2.5 related series, one of which is a live stream, which is just going to focus on building and just shenanigans on the server. And, that's basically Season 2.live. And Season 2.5 is basically all the story-specific content. So anytime we get together and record a story event and stuff like that, chances are I'll be talking about what happened in the story in Season 2.live, just because I know not everybody's going to want to watch that. I basically made that separate specifically for anybody on the server that wants to be able to catch up on story and stuff like that. But if anybody else wants to catch up on story, then, that's available to them as well. But yeah, I'm planning on doing another series as well that is also going to be live streamed. I kind of like live streaming, actually. Once I got it sorted out, I kind of really dig it. There's still a bunch of stuff I've yet to learn and figure out and stuff, but I'm really, really enjoying it, and I still want to be able to do videos and stuff like that, and I really enjoy editing and stuff, but I'm having a lot of fun with the live streaming, so I'm not gonna lie, there's gonna be a lot of it. Minnycast is going to continue being a video series, and that's going to run alongside Season 2.5. Season 2.live will be just sort of streamed randomly throughout the week, along with this other series that I am planning, which I will not announce yet. But I'm hoping to get that figured out and sorted out for next week. If not, it'll be a video series as well if I can't get the live streaming worked out for it. But I'm basically going to have 2 uploads a week, which includes the Minnycast, which I am moving to Mondays. So happy Monday. And Season 2.5 will be happening on Thursday. So that'll be a thing. And then in between those days, I'll basically be live streaming at least once a day. So, you'll be getting pretty much whatever I feel like, whether it's Unknown Empire or the other series. Again, assuming I get that figured out. If not, then you'll be getting, a third video in between all that. And, so you'll be seeing a lot of me. You'll be able to interact with me a little bit more easily and stuff like that if everything goes to plan. So I am really excited about that. One thing that I have discovered while dealing with these series and stuff like that, it's not really a discovery, it's more just, something that's just sort of hit me kind of thing, and it's not the first time this has hit me, and to be honest, it kind of bums me out a lot, and I'm gonna try to tackle it in the most, positive way possible, I guess. But I will admit this has been wearing me down, and this is basically today's topic. It's just sort of when your limitations present more barriers and make you more aware of how different you are than other people. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to word that more concisely. But I know there's been a couple new people that have shown up on my channel, so this is gonna sound like a repeat to some of you who have been here before and checked out these videos. I am visually impaired. And, what that essentially means, at least for me, is that I do have a little bit of vision that I can use. But, I am, basically, I'm not too far off from being, completely blind. Although, I have usable vision and stuff like that, but You know, I still need adaptive technology like magnifiers and stuff in order to be able to, you know, use computer and such. So that's presented some problems in figuring out, you know, how to live stream properly and get things sorted out so that I can actually do things in a, you know, in a pretty good way. I'm like losing my train of thought a lot. I apologize for that, you guys. But it kind of goes a little bit beyond that. It kind of bleeds into gaming itself, particularly with Minecraft. Now, Minecraft has taken steps to sorting out, um, you know, accessibility and stuff like that to the point where they have added in the narrator, which is great in theory. And I say in theory because it's still got a long way to go before it's, you know, truly useful and helpful to a lot of people. Now, the thing that really gets me about it, and this is basically my rant for today, and if anyone from Mojang sees this, you'll also probably have seen my Twitter rant, um, and stuff like that. So some of you already know where this is going. I'm gonna try to tackle that in a more coherent and positive way, though. I only mean this to be, you know, constructive criticism and such, and just sort of talk about how this affects me and how this has affected Unknown Empire and stuff like that, because it absolutely does have a huge impact on the series for me. Um, so the narrator itself basically reads out, you know, chat messages and stuff like that on screen as they show up. Now, the thing about it is, when I'm in multiplayer, I have to set it so that it reads all. This includes system information and stuff like that, and as of 1.15, also includes announcements of when you open chests, furnaces, talk to villagers, look in shulker boxes. Pretty much everything that has its own UI gets a little announcement saying that you open that UI. So, you know, when I open a large chest, it'll say large chest every single time. Now, I'm sure for some people that's useful, but for me personally, I have enough sight that I can already see that I've clicked on the large chest. So for me personally, I would like to be able to turn that off. Turns out you can, because there are other settings where you can have it just read out the chat, or, you know, just read out the system stuff, which you would think would be very handy, right? Well, the problem is, at least in multiplayer, which is why this affects Unknown Empires so much, is that none of those work. When you set it to something other than reading all, the speech just sort of dies completely. It just doesn't work anymore. It's basically another way of turning it off at that point. Like, that's how effective it is. I feel like slightly congested. It's not great. In a single player world, however, and this is what confuses me, everything works just fine. What is it that's causing it to screw up on a server? Why on multiplayer does it just sort of die? I don't understand. Because, like, my thought is, you know, like, my thought is, if it works in single player, theoretically it should work in multiplayer. And I'm not the only one that's been confused by this, because I have brought it to the attention of the other members of UE. And several of them have tried to look into this to help me out and stuff like that, which, thank you guys, I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that it's such a pain in the ass. I really appreciate you guys, though. I really, really do. I wish I knew more about that kind of thing myself so that I could just, you know, figure it out. But, yeah, it's kind of a thing. But, unfortunately, due to the limitations presented by the game itself, there doesn't really seem to be anything that we can do. Unless there's some sort of, like, crazy mod that we could potentially make that, you know, makes something feasible happen. But the thing about that is, like, programming is hard. Let me just say. Programming is difficult. And I don't want to put anybody through that nightmare, because I imagine it would kind of be a nightmare. As much as I, again, really appreciate the, the thought and the help and all that. Like, I really appreciate it. The thing about it is, at this point, I can't use the narrator during Unknown Empire recordings now, because aside from those, like, announcements of, chests and stuff opening up, it now announces when you're in a text field. So, like, when you're able to type, when when, let's say, you hit T to get into the chat, as you would normally, it'll basically announce that you're in a text, like an area where you can type. The thing about that is every single letter, it'll make that announcement and read out that letter every single time. If you set it to read chat only, it won't do this. However, again, on a server, it doesn't work at all. Unless you set it to read everything. Which means that as I'm typing, it'll constantly interrupt itself and constantly just reaffirm the fact that I'm in, a text field, which at that point I'm typing. I already know I'm in a text field. Can you please just not... Can I turn that off too? No? Great. Not only that, but it does tend to interrupt itself. It doesn't let me interrupt it, but any other message comes in, gets interrupted. So if it's in the middle of reading something important, because again, Unknown Empire is a story-based server, if it's reading out important story-based information that's being told to me by another character, or another player even, it skips over it when another message comes in. It doesn't give me the option to interrupt it at will when I need it to, but it'll interrupt itself. It doesn't give me the option to turn that off either. I assume that if I set it to read chat, and if it were to work on a server, I would still run into that, but it would be still a lot easier to deal with than constantly being told I'm in a text field. Believe me, I know this. I only need to be told once. And even with something like VoiceOver on the Mac, I realize it's a different application altogether. But even something like that will tell me when I'm in a text field. But it won't repeatedly tell me until, it won't repeatedly tell me. It'll only tell me when I'm in and tell me when I leave. It won't just constantly, alert me to the fact that I'm typing in the middle of typing. And I know that I haven't used Windows in a long time, actually. But I know that when I used Windows, and I used stuff like JAWS and the narrator on Windows and stuff like that, it behaved very similarly. It wouldn't constantly tell you were in an area you could type after it had already told you you're in an area where you can type. Because at that point, you already know that. You don't need to be constantly reaffirmed about that. You don't need to be constantly told. Now, again, I don't know what's causing this problem with the narrator between single player and multiplayer. I don't know why being on a server affects it, but Mojang, if you're watching this, who do I talk to about this? Where can I send this feedback? Because anywhere that I have tried, I've gotten no response from or anything like that, and it's kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. And I really love to see this feature brought out to its full potential, because it could really bring a lot of help to a lot of people that need this. And I already know several people that are visually impaired that want to be able to play this game but can't, because there's no way to make it work for them, because the accessibility features that are there so far, though are a step in the right direction, just aren't there yet to the point where it's useful to them. Which sucks, actually. And I think that if the features that are there were just able to work on, while in multiplayer and stuff, because, I mean, to be honest, on a personal level, the narrator is completely useless to me on single player, because I can take as much time as I need to zoom in on the chat, use my magnifier and stuff like that. And chances are, when I have to do that, I'm not recording for a video or streaming, so it's not a big deal to me. It would still help, and I'm sure, I will be using it, most likely, just to kind of help make it a little bit more convenient for me. But other than that, it's not it's not necessary in single player, in my personal opinion. However, many people will find it useful. So do not take it out of single player. Like, just don't take it out of the game at all. Leave it there. But this whole deal, this whole conflict with it working on a server does need to be addressed, and I would love to see that, you know, fixed in even 1.16, which probably might not be the case. To be honest, I'm doubting it. I am hoping, but I'm doubting it. Or even in future patches of 1.16 or something. Like, hopefully soon it can be addressed and, you know, work, because I would love to see that happen. It would be a really huge step in the right direction, and it would stop me from constantly having to ask and or remind other people to read out these messages so that I don't miss anything, because I can't read them unless I zoom in on them at that point. And doing that on a video, one, will look awful, and two, will just, you know, make all my viewers seasick. Probably make myself seasick when I watch the video back. I am kind of used to it though, so probably not. But it will cause some issues. And now I know there's ways that I can, in fact, make the magnifier have like a little thing on the side of the screen, so it's not like, so it wouldn't magnify the entire screen, but it would still get in the way of the game itself and make it harder for me to even play the game. So that's kind of out as an option, unfortunately. I may still attempt to experiment with it, maybe, but it does cover a significant portion of the screen if I'm going to even see that, which is why I usually have it on full screen magnification rather than having a little section on screen dedicated to it, because that's just more useful to me. That's just what I can see, and I'd rather just have my entire view that instead of having to focus on an even tinier window than is my entire monitor. Again, options like that are very useful to other people, just unfortunately not useful to me. But, you know, I may still consider exploring those options just to try to overcome this barrier at least a little bit. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of my rant, I guess. And dealing with barriers like this, to be honest, or I guess obstacle is the more accurate term. I'm using them interchangeably, and I shouldn't, because barriers and obstacles are two different things. I can hear my nephew in the background. Hopefully you don't hear him too much. He's not happy. He's having a hard time sleeping. I kind of feel really bad for him, to be honest. But that's all right. But yeah, like dealing with obstacles like this, which I'm sure can be overcome in time and stuff like that with a little ingenuity and imagination and such. Kind of wears you out after a while, to be honest. It kind of wears you out. And it's kind of worn me out to the point where, I was invited to be part of the next Unknown Empire UHC, which is going to be basically played tomorrow. And I chose to stay out of it, not because the people involved aren't willing to help. They absolutely are, and this is not any fault of theirs at all. This is just currently the limitations presented by the game itself, and to be honest, my own personal just mental exhaustion and not wanting to deal with it anymore. I'm just kind of, I've dealt with a lot of obstacles setting up streaming and, you know, setting everything up with my new computer and stuff like that, and, you know, just running into all kinds of barriers that I've had to figure out how to, you know, leap over. Obstacles, not barriers. Wrong word, me. There is a difference. But like, I'm at a point where I'm just like, I kind of feel like anything that would have to be done to make it work for me will kind of make it really annoying for either the one person that's helping me out, again, appreciated, but it'll either make it annoying for them or annoying for everybody, because then everybody will have to do things a certain way that they shouldn't really have to do. Like, it should not have to, like, the thing about this is it should be implemented in a way that you know, shouldn't have to force someone else to do something in a different way or do something extra, because as much as I do appreciate someone, you know, being willing to help me out and read things out just so, you know, I know what's going on. DJ is a notable example. Darkblade did try to help out with that at one point as well. But like I just feel like they should not have to do that at all, really. Like, and I know they're willing to, but like I feel like it kind of makes things annoying for them, because like it's not something that they're used to either. So sometimes I will have to remind them and stuff, which like um again, not their fault, and I'm not trying to say this as like a slight against them by any means. This is not meant to be an attack on them. It's just, you know, because it's not something that they're used to and stuff. Sometimes, you know, they either forget or get distracted with something else, so that I sometimes have to remind. And I feel like they shouldn't have to do this at all, and I shouldn't have to continuously be like, "Hey, so what's going on? Can you read this out for me again? Sorry." And like, I really am not trying to be, you know, ungrateful or anything for the help that they are willing to give me, because the fact that they're willing to do that in the first place just is a testament to how awesome they are as people, and I really do appreciate it. But like, I just still feel bad that they, you know, it just ends up being necessary just because of, you know, the limitations of the software we're using, and the fact that like it's been implemented for such a long time and these bugs are still present. They've been present since the very beginning. Granted, they've improved slightly, but like I feel like the steps that the narrator is taking are so minuscule that they're not happening as quickly as I feel like they should. And I understand that that kind of thing is hard to program and implement and stuff like that. And I also understand that, you know, the guys behind the game, Mojang, like they're you know, trying to make a game, and they're trying to make honestly really cool updates to the game. Like they are working hard, you know. So I don't want to like sit here and, you know, insult them for taking forever on the accessibility. However, I do think that it does need a little bit more attention in order to, you know, be what it really, really can be, because there is a lot of potential here, and it could really help thousands of people that want to play this game but can't. And yeah, that's kind of my rant on this, to be honest. And I feel like I have already repeated myself a couple times, and I feel like I am going to repeat myself more if I keep going, you guys. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like I did start, like, part of why I started this channel was I wanted to share my perspective as a blind gamer and things like that. So I would really, really love to hear what you guys think about, you know, something like this, whether it's something you thought of, whether you think it's as big a deal as I'm, you know, I guess making it out to be, whether or not, whether or not you think they are going in the right direction for accessibility, and if you have other thoughts about what they could do, I'd love to hear those too, actually. Pretty much just any thought you might have. I'd love to hear from you guys, but I am going to go ahead and end off this video for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoy it. Please feel free to check out any other series I have on this channel, including the live streams coming up in the future. I'm really, really excited about those, and I hope you guys are too. And yeah, guys, if you haven't already, please join the Minchino clan on Discord. I'd love to hear from you on there too. But until next time, y'all, Minny out.